اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله، يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله، يا إمام الرحمة، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين، يا علي بن أبي طالب، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد، يا قرة عين الرسول، يا سيدتنا يا قرة عين الرسول. يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله، الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين، يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي، أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد، أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر، أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي يا ابن موسى، أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي، أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الحادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله حاجات
يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فكري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين يا رب العالمين. صلوات.
الفاتحة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا ذكر الله وحده اشمزت قلوب الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة وإذا ذكر الذين من دونه إذا هم يستبشرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Tuesday night Dua Tawassul recitation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the blessings of this dua, Dua Tawassul, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our tawassuls that we have performed tonight. And with this wasila of tawassul, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our hajat, all the hajat shara'i, and that we have. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfill it. Inshallah, nobody leaves here tonight until their hajat are fulfilled. Now, we talked about ayat number 44 from Surah Zumar last time. This was prior to Ayyam Aza, I believe. And tonight I recited for you ayat number 45, which says, when Allah is mentioned alone, thereat shrink away the hearts of those who do not believe in the hereafter. But when others are mentioned besides Him, behold, they rejoice. Before I get into this discussion, and as you know, Tuesday night's Tafsir session is only about 10 to 12 minutes, so I won't be too long. There was a discussion of shafa'at in the previous ayat. So from that discussion, ayat number 44, which was about shafa'at, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to the Prophet that amittakhadhu min dunillahi shufa'a, or have they taken intercessors other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Tell them, they do not possess anything, la yamlikuna shay'an wa la yaqilun, that they do not possess anything, nor do they have power over everything. Qul lillahi shafa'atu jami'a. Indeed, to Allah belongs all the shafa'at, and lahu mulkus samawati wal ard thumma ilayhi turja'un. And of course, mulk belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to Him you shall all return. There was an addendum to the discussion of shafa'at, which we did not get to, and this was the last part of it, which was the shafa'at in the narrations of Ahlul Bayt. There are thousands and thousands of narrations regarding the shafa'at in the books of hadith, and I'll mention a few over here as tabarruk for tonight. Inshallah, from next week we will get into the ayat number 45 and 46 that I recited for you. First is a hadith from Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. He said, "Utitu khamsan wa utitu shafa'a fa akhartuha li ummati fa hiya liman la yushriku billahi shay'a." He said, God bestowed me with 5 distinctions. And one of the distinctions that He bestowed me with is the shafa'at. And I kept the shafa'at for my ummat. فَهِيَ لِمَنْ لَا يُشْرِكُ بِاللَّهِ شَيْئًا. And indeed, those who do not associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the shafa'at will be shamil hal of that individual. Sixth Imam, when he was asked similar question, he said, تَدْخُلُ بِشَفَاعَتِهَا شِيعَةِ الْجَنَّةِ بِأَجْمَعِهِمْ. When he was speaking about, Fatima Masuma Qum, when he was speaking about, the daughter of Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salatu wasalam, that Masuma Qum, regarding her, sixth Imam says this. He said, تَدْخُلُ بِشَفَاعَتِهَا شِيعَةِ الْجَنَّةِ. And they will enter, my Shia will enter with the shafa'at of Masuma Qum. Every Shia will enter paradise with her shafa'at. Now what is there in the shafa'at of Masuma Qum? That you find that sixth Imam is bearing witness. Sixth Imam is telling us to do so. So there's a maqam of Bibi Masuma Qum that we have studied and heard and listened to in the lectures and ahadith as far as her wiladat and shahadat is concerned. So much has been mentioned. So one of the maqam that she's given because of her endeavor that she took when she left Medina to go visit and meet Imam Rada, and on the way she died in the city of Qum. She was buried, and so many of the ulama have had the opportunity to visit and do the ziyarat, and they have related similar instances where how many of their worldly problems, many of the ahkam that they were trying to get to were resolved just by doing the ziyarat of Bibi Masuma Qum. Sixth Imam says what? With her, the Shi'as will enter paradise. Prophet in the Tafsir of the verse, he says, Asa an yab'athaka rabbuka maqaman mahmuda, that indeed, O Prophet, Allah will give you this maqam mahmud. Rasulullah responded by saying, huwa al-maqamu alladhi ashfa'u li ummati fiha. That maqam mahmud is the maqam through which I will do the shafa'at of my ummat. Prophet also mentioned, Ana awwalu shafi'in wa awwalu mushaffa'in. I am the first intercessor and the first whose intercession will be accepted. While he is the first to go ahead and do, there is no stopping others who can also be the intercessors. Prophet also said, As'adun nasi bi shafa'ati yawm al-qiyamati man qala la ilaha illallah khalisan min qalbihi aw nafsihi. He said the most as'ad, meaning the most prosperous of the people, with my shafa'at on the day of judgment. Many will receive the shafa'at, but the most prosperous and sa'id of all of those will be who? Those who utter the words La ilaha illallah with khulus, with sincerity from their heart and as well as from their nafs. Although the word heart and nafs is mentioned separately, they are both the same thing in the context that we know of, because Rasulullah is not referring to heart as this organ of ours which pumps the blood. He's referring to heart in the sense of nafs as well. Prophet also says, Shafa'ati likulli muslimin. Let's hope we fit the criteria of Islam, that those who are considered to be Muslim. Why? Because Surah Al-Imran 102 says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullah haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O those who believe, fear Allah the way He deserves, and don't die unless you are what? Submissive to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah says, Shafa'ati likulli muslimin. My shafa'at reaches all to all those who are submissive to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's hope that we have at least reached the place that the criteria of Islam fits upon us. Prophet also added by saying, Inni la arju an ashfa'a yawm al-qiyamati adada ma ala al-ardi min shajaratin wa madaratin. This is again the mercy of Rahmatan lil Alameen. He's Rahmatan lil Alameen, so He wants to benefit as many people as He can. He wants to give favor to as many people as He can. Those who are bakhil, those who are stingy, they hold their hands back. They don't want to share it with others. Rasulullah is the biggest, best misal of those who want to give. And Rasulullah says, not only that I want to give shafa'at to everyone, I want to give it to as many as the amount of trees on the land that you find on this earth, or trees on the earth and the clod of mud that you find on earth. Meaning there's an innumerable number that Rasulullah wants to go ahead and perform the shafa'at to. So that is the heart of mushaffi', the one who is looking out for the well-being of individual. And that is the reason Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, one of his worries on the day of Ashur was what? Imam speaks in his, those words that are documented about Imam. He said, one of my worries is because of me, these people will go to Jahannam. Because of me, these people are bound to receive the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Imam opens the door for them. Imam is, in other words, with all the atrocities these people had committed at that point, which is beyond our comprehension, Imam was still willing to do shafa'at of those people at that juncture. And so he utters these words. He wants to bring them on the fold of Islam. He wants to bring them on board. He wants to give them an opportunity. Well, knows that they won't accept it. And he knows also what they have done already. But even neglecting all of that, Imam was willing to go ahead and do the shafa'at of these people. So therefore, we find in the kalam of Rasulullah as well, he says, فَيَشْفَعُونَ حَتَّى يَخْرُجَ مَنْ قَالَ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ مِمَّنْ فِي قَلْبِهِ مِيزَانُ شَعِيرَةٍ. Even those who have real faith in the amount of 1 grain of barley. Just imagine. Rahmatan lil alameen. And the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not looking for a bowl full of grains as far as the iman is concerned. He's looking for 1 grain of barley in your bowl. If that is there, Rasulullah said, I will go ahead and do the shafa'at of such an individual. He continued by saying, Man salla ala Muhammad, Allahumma sallam. وقال اللهم أنزله المقعد المقرب عندك يوم القيامة وجب له شفاعتي. Whoever sends salutations on Muhammad wa ali Muhammad and says, Oh Allah, send upon him maq'ad al-muqarrab. In the maq'ad the ayat of Quran also says, in the malikin muqtadir, give him a place close in the maq'ad al-muqarrab, indaka, near you, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give him the closest position to you, yawm al-qiyamati wajaba lahu shafa'ati. That person, it's now incumbent upon him to receive my shafa'at. Whoever just makes this dua regarding me, O Allah, send your salutations on Prophet, which is a wajib dua. Why Quran orders us, Inna Allaha wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi. O those who believe, you do the same thing. So that's an obligation upon us. Rasulullah says what? He says, whoever makes this dua, sends salutations, and then says, oh Allah, send him, anzilhu al-maq'ad al-muqarrab, indaka yawm al-qiyamah, wajaba shafa'ati. Wajib becomes shafa'at upon that individual. 2 more in this regard, and inshallah I'll conclude. Amirul Mu'mineen said, lana shafa'atun wa li ahli mawaddatina shafa'atun. We and our friends will all do shafa'at. Imam says shafa'at is not just makhsus to Ahlul Bayt. Our friends will also have the ability to go ahead and do the shafa'at. There are many riwayat in this regard that even a shaheed will go ahead and do shafa'at of many family members. Parents will have the ability to do shafa'at. Quran will do shafa'at if you had read it. On the Day of Judgment, Quran will say, yes, I do shafa'at on behalf of this individual who used to recite my verses, who used to act upon my ayat. Quran will go ahead and do the shafa'at. So there are so many doors of shafa'at open for you. And then he says, ash-shafa'atu, ash-shufa'a'u rather. So this is the last. Shufa'a'u, those who will do intercession, khamsatun, there are 5. Al-Quran, wal-Rahim, wal-Amana, wa nabiyyukum, wa ahlu bayt nabiyyikum. Shafa'at is 5, belongs to 5. Quran, Quran will do shafaat, I mentioned that. Nabi will do shafaat, we mentioned that. Ahl Bayt Nabiyikum, the Ahl Bayt of Nabi will do shafaat as well. War Rahim, your Sila Rahim, those you do Sila Rahim with, those who are the family members, they do. They will be able to do your shafaat. So, for example, the family members, if they are at that status, if they are at that place, they will be able to do shafaat as well. Well, amana. And I guess here amanat means the trust. They will be able to fulfill that shafaat as well. Now, there are many riwayat in this regard, so we'll conclude over here. The one who teaches Quran and obeys his ahkam, Allah will place him in paradise and allow him to intercede for 10 of his family members. This is in Sunan al-Tirmidhi. So thus far the riwayat that I quoted were from Shia books. Sunan al-Tirmidhi, those who sometime go ahead with the ayat of Quran which says, oh, Allah is the only shafi on the day of judgment, no one else can do shafaat. Allah has not given the permission to shafaat. Sahih Tirmidhi, volume 4, page 245. He also said, the one who teaches Quran and obeys its ahkam, Allah will place him in paradise and allow him to intercede for 10 of his family members who may deserve to go to hell. Who may deserve to go to hell. Rasulullah will go ahead and do the shafa'at of such individuals, and the shuhada and the ulama will able to do the same thing. He added, when a believer reaches the age of 90, Allah forgives his sins, accepts his intercession for his family members. This is in Musnad Ahmad, volume 2, page number 89. Thus, it concludes from our perspective, of course, we firmly believe in the concept of shafa'at, but also in the books of Ahl Sunnah, the concept of shafa'at is very clear. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the shafa'at of Masjid-e-Ali Muhammad on the day of judgment. Definitely our amal are not enough to bring us to the highest of the levels of Jannat. Then in that regards, we will definitely need the shafa'at of Masumin alayhi salatu wasalam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our awaited Imam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the atrocities that are being committed in the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Palestine. Almost a year has gone past. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the zuhur of Imam Zamana happens so that these atrocities come to an end, inshallah. We pray for all of the victims, all of those who have suffered in the recent attacks, that those who are struggling, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide full recovery to all of them, and those who have departed this world as martyrs, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us amongst those people as well. Wa akhiru da'wana.